Hello again, everyone. Galidorn back again, playing Raid Shadow Legends. So I have decided to at least pursue the first part of the fusion, just to, I guess, demonstrate that I could do it if I was able to personally complete the last half of it. I know that sounds a little stupid, but there it is. Also,
see if it pays off for him.
So, you know, I've been saving up resources, and honestly, I do have to clear out my champions a bit.
Press check on Vegiclean, aisle 5.
So I can take advantage of the champion training event to clear out the number of champions that I have, the number of food champions that I have, and collect some rewards along the way.
Arms for next flip.
Dragon tournament started up, it's progressing. Got the coins, and as you can see, I'm on the cusp with almost 2 days left to get the fragments here, which of course is syncing up nicely with the Dungeon Divers event. So having also said all that, there's a couple of updates to the game that I want to address. One that I think is really nice is what they've done here, okay? Featured news, general news, okay, I like this new setup where you can better track down the things that are happening in the game that you want to focus on, rather than just having them all piled there and you know, one piles on top of the other, and it pushes the stuff that would really be valuable down in the order. And in the featured news, there's something that's really, really nice here, and I'm going to use it to show a breakdown of the schedule. As you've seen in my fusion videos in the past that I've done, I always go through and I look and I analyze the schedule and how things work together. This is a real good improvement that Raid development team have listened to their community. Geez, you know, I kind of hate using that word. It just sounds so hokey. Listen to their community.
But not in a gateway or anything.
No, of course not. Yeah, it goes without saying.
Anyway, but this is pretty good in that you go in here, hit the details, and it brings you to the actual web page where you can see the fusion event calendar. Like this is awesome, because you were never really sure of where to find this calendar. Honestly, I always went to shout out to Hell Hades. I always went to just hellhades.com, a content creator, to get this this calendar. And this is one of the big gripes I had before, and I have in games, is that anything involved with the information of the game, you have to provide it in the game. All right, you know, if you put up a fusion and a schedule for it very specifically, you can't be relying on your content creators to be putting this out to the community.
Maybe I'll just shut my big mouth.
You have to make it easily and accessible very quickly to players of the game, and they've done it, and kudos to them for doing it. So having said that, let's take a look at this thing. Okay, so here, as of the time I'm recording this video, it is the 10th of May, so we are into the second day of the fusion. So we start off very simply, and I do like this, how the Dungeon Divers and the Dragon Tournament started exactly in sync, and they're going to cover each other completely in sync from the 9th to the 12th. And also the champion training event starts midway in there, so that syncs in. So as you would be finishing up your Dragon tournament, you can then move into running your champion training. And I hope, like most of you, like I can run Nightmare.
Shoot it!
In the champion training, so that you can give yourself a few more points into the Dungeon Divers event. So there's no break in the action here. There's no time where, you know, you're not being able to run something because it's not beneficial to you at that moment, because it's not serving as many purposes as it can. And then there's another nice sync in here with the champion chase, starting with the champion training event, because as you're running your campaigns, you're also going to be collecting up your uncommons and some rares that will pop up from time to time. Now, it doesn't give you a lot of points, but it does give you some.
None of this is any good. Fuck!
You know, and if you're doing a lot of running of the campaign, you are going to get those champs. It is going to give you some points. So then that actually is linking in 3 different activities, which is very good. Now, before I get too far into this, I like the layout of this. I do like the fact that they've intertwined both the events and the tournaments. I mean, you can still see their distinction via the color scheme they've used. But this way is visually easier to be able to see how things sync up and match up, and if there are any holes where the holes are. And so it just helps you plan out things easier, I find, at a glance. Because the other one where they had the tournaments on the top and the events on the bottom kind of got confusing. You weren't really sure what was matching up. You had to look at it a bit harder, is what I'm saying. This is easier to look at and to see things at a glance and see without any confusion what's happening. All right, so that's the champion training. And then we go into, on the 11th, the artifact enhancement, which is good because you should have built up a lot of silver through here, but not really, I guess, because you do have a champion training event. A lot of times you kind of overlook the fact that the champion training event is going to suck up a lot of silver as well. People just naturally think, oh, well, artifact enhancement, yeah, it's going to take a lot of silver, but the champion training also draws some. So the fact that these two are together, it's going to be a very, very big drain on silver.
This is a bummer, man.
So hopefully through the Dungeon Divers Dragon Tournament, you have been building up silver. But like I said in a previous video, rely on your forge. Your forge is your silver mine. Okay, so don't rely too much on running things for silver. Use that forge to its maximum to produce your silver. Okay, then we move into the classic arena. Serve on its own, standalone, not really a mesh with anything else. And then we move into the Ice Golem, which does not sync up with the next Dungeon Divers, which is unfortunate. So there's no real overlap here with the first, almost, I'd say, a third of the Ice Golem tournament.
Missed it by that much.
Other than, again, running it to gain some silver, but that's not really the best use of your energy. So here, you gotta kind of slack off the Ice Golem tournament and, I guess, remain just running your campaign. So you still got the champion training event. So it's really unfortunate that they've spaced out the Dungeon Divers event to not sync up with the Ice Golem tournament. It would have been much more beneficial to people in the Fusion if they just started this Dungeon Divers event at the same time they started the Ice Golem tournament. Again, okay, so then we move into the next artifact enhancement event, and okay, so you've been running, collecting silver, use the forge, again, kind of almost stand on its own. And then you have the Fire Knight tournament, and I'm assuming, again, it looks like the Ice Golem tournament ends before the Fire Knight tournament begins, because yes, for sure, the Ice Golem tournament ends on the 15th, so in my time zone, it'll be in the early hours of May 15th. It'll be hard to say. Anyway, but it looks as if there will be a gap between the Ice Golem tournament finishing and the Fire Knight tournament starting.
Fuck.
I've been fooled by that in the past, where it looks like there's a gap between activities when actually they ran pretty much concurrently. I think that's just maybe a way that it's graphically represented here in the schedule, where it makes it look like there's some kind of gap, but in reality there may not be. Anyway, we'll have to see when we get to it. Now, personally, for me, as I said in my previous video, I'm saying that a lot, aren't I? This is the time that I will be doing my traveling for my vacation. So this is where the Fusion will break down, and I won't really be able to tell, if the Ice Golem and the Fire Knight synced up, or if there actually was a gap there. Anyway, if there is a gap, it's very unfortunate, because as you can see, there is a big chunk of the Dungeon Divers event that might be affected by that gap. And then we run into the Artifact Enhancement event, again, kind of on its own. Here you'll see that the Fire Knight tournament will already be ongoing for about a day, along with the champion training. So again, here, there's dual things you had to be running, champion training and Fire Knight. before the next Dungeon Divers event happens. So here, my advice would be focus on your champion training because you get more points out of the Fire Knight tournament for the Dungeon Divers. So here, for your campaign, focus on this one, the champion training, rather than the Fire Knight. And then when the Dungeon Divers event hits, I mean, no-brainer, right? That's when you go into your Fire Knight tournament. And of course, you have your Summon Rush. So save your Voids for the Summon Rush. It's 2 times Ancient on the champion training, so do not touch your Voids. Hold your Voids. If you have 22 Voids, you should be able to cover everything you need for the Summon Rush. And when comparing it to how things have played out in the last fusions. Now, we don't know, things could be different, but if you have 22 Voids, save them for the Summon Rush and you will be golden. That's all you'll need. Now, again, the Fire Knight tournament ends. This is kind of strange, I guess. You're actually getting very little time in the Fire Knight tournament to cover the 3rd Dungeon Divers event, which is a little mean-spirited, I think. Because not only does the Dungeon Divers event not start with the Fire Knight tournament will end before the Dungeon Divers event ends. So you get very little time here in the Fire Knight tournament to make your hay. And then we're ending off with... It's funny, they have Summon Rush here twice. Okay, I see. You'll be able to get the epic that you need. So if you have enough points, you can actually pick up the epic champion as opposed to having to fuse the rare into getting the epic. So obviously you can pick up all the rares that you need. So you must be able to get one of these epic champions in that Summon Rush. So my advice on the Voids would only apply reasonably then to getting the rare champion, of which you need 16 copies. But in that final Summon Rush, you will be able to get one of the epics, which will allow you to skip on 4 of the rares.
Giant step forward in the treatment of the insane gambler. Yes.
So actually, if I play this right, maybe I will be able to complete this fusion. Just maybe.
You're a phony!
If I can get enough points in the Summon Rush, because I do have plenty of Voids to get this epic. So I think I can use my level of Ancients I have in this champion chase, and I have enough without touching my Sacreds. If I can save my Sacreds and Voids, which I fully intend on doing, to the Summon Rush, and in looking at this, there's no other things that will require me to pull shards. So I might be able to leapfrog over having to get 4 of the rares and be able to get that epic, depending on how many points you need to get that epic in that Summon Rush.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way
Okay,
up.
so that's kind of cool to see how things play out, that this fusion might be one of those that allows you to skip in a different way. I don't think this has ever been done in a fusion before. I'm pretty sure it's none of the ones that I've participated in that this has been done before, although I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong on this. That it's allowing you to miss some tournaments and events if you have the ability to pull lots of shards in that Summon Rush. All right, so anyway, let's finish off. Okay, so we have, again, Classic Arena Takedown, stand on its own. The easiest event, in my opinion. So, and then we finish off with the Spider Tournament, which overlaps with the ongoing Dungeon Divers Event 3 that's happening at that time. And this Dungeon Divers event here is good in that it does have complete overlap. And we see that the Spider and the Fire Knight tournament also are overlapping a bit with each other. And then we have the Artifact Enhancement event again, finishing it up. Again, you would have to have made quite a bit of silver, especially with the Spider tournament going on, and hitting the Forge. So when you look at these Artifact Enhancement events, it is the Forge. And the thing about it, if you're making silver through the Forge, you might come up with some very nice pieces through the Forge, and instead of selling them, you enhance them and get yourself some points. All right, so having long-windedly looked at that feature, we'll take a look at another major feature upgrade that is half and half good and half and half meh. Not bad, but just meh. Doesn't really change it. That is in the Tavern. So first of all, they've added in the filter into the Tavern, which is good. Before they didn't have the filter in the Tavern, which was kind of dumb. I thought you could do it in the champion screen, but not the Tavern screen, which I thought was kind of dumb. You actually need it more in the Tavern, in my opinion, than you do in the champion screen. So anyway, it's here now, and that's good. But what we have here is the instant upgrade features in both the level and the rank. Now, the one that's meh and doesn't do anything is if you do an instant upgrade, which means leveling like brews, it does not give you the option to put in brews. And it tells you what won't be put in, but it has no way yet, and this would be an improvement in this screen, would be to give yourself a bit of a filter that you can modify. You know, for instance, for me, I only ever use common champions, so 1 stars that are not been leveled up as brews, basically. I look at my 2 stars as much more of a greater resource than a brew, because in champion training, with the brew leveling technique that I showed in a previous video, and everybody knows, they're a more valuable resource than just a straight brew or a straight chicken in that regards. So as a casual free-to-play, at least in my experience, this really does nothing, really.
It just doesn't matter.
Because it should allow you to put brews in. But I guess it does that anyway, because if you just get out of the instant upgrade, you know, you can automatically put in whatever way brews you want anyway. So basically the leveling is not a feature that affects me anyway. For your whales, and even just, you know, moderate to higher spenders who will probably cycle through a lot of the champions and don't need to more carefully manage their resources of their commons and uncommons, it's probably a good thing. But for me, this instant upgrade on the leveling does nothing.
It's nothing.
I would not be using these 2-star champions because they become more valuable to me once they're in the 2-star than just a brew. And I guess it would be redundant to put brews in here because you already have in the previous screen that I showed you your instant brew upgrade. So basically what I'm saying, for me, this feature does nothing. Now in the rank, so if we go in here, it'll show you basically all the champions that you have able to rank up. And you can use this with the brew technique, I do believe. Just let me see here. I'm going to go in, I'm going to level up some of these guys with brews. Okay, so the way it stands now, this feature is not going to work well with the brew upgrading technique to get points. Because as you can see here, these are 4 of the champions that I leveled up with my 3 brews for 3 stars. But the other 2 are not. And I will show you that right here, these are the 6 champions that I just leveled up to put into my 2 level 3 upgrades. All right, so here's my 2 chickens here that I have ready to go to 4-star. And normally I would do this. And then I'd rank them up to 4-star, thus getting the extra points in the ongoing event. But however, if we go to the instant rank up, see, it's only showing the 4 of them plus 2 that I don't want to use just yet. And there's no way for me to add in the other 2, because looking at the filter, there's no way to do that. I mean, you could sacrifice your champions of gear, skills, tags, ascended, and then your various rarity priorities. You can add chickens as well, and affinities, but there's no way to filter out. It just automatically gives you champions, and there's no way you can do that. So you're going to have to be careful with this one.
Be careful.
And see what's best for you to use. But right now with the brew leveling technique, this doesn't work well. So I would have to take this one off and rank him up to 4. And then just go back in. and do that the old-fashioned way. So be careful. You're using the brew technique. Now, I don't know if this is a conscious choice on the dev's part, because they've caught on to the little trick that everybody uses, throw brews in. So it prioritizes the lower levels to put into your rank ups. And I can see them doing that because they might not like the little hack of the brew technique. It means you're pulling less shards, you're getting less champions have to pull less mystery shards, and you're doubling up on your points. So they might want to slow that down a little bit. Or they just couldn't figure out a way how to do that properly. Or maybe they're just not aware, and I highly doubt that they're not aware that people use the brew leveling technique quite a lot. But however, once you get to the higher level, it becomes more beneficial, because now you can actually see and plan out, which champions you have ready to go up, rather than having to search through, the champion screen. So it makes it a lot easier, a lot more functional. But of course, again, it will do the same thing on the lower level when you use the brew technique with these guys. But however, it's a lot easier to sort through at the higher level, because you probably have leveled all these guys up prior to it. So this gets a lot more functional towards the higher end than down towards the lower end. So as of right now, I have to clear out a number of champions before I do any shard pulling with the current champion chase. All right, okay, so this feature now has pissed me off a little bit.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And you're going to see why. Right now, I've gone into instant rank up, and all I'm seeing is epic champions to rank up. But what I want to do is I want to rank these guys up. Right, this is what I want to do. I want to turn this 4-star chicken into a 5-star chicken. As you can see, I've already brewed these guys up. They're all level 21. So they all got 4 brews into them. Rank him up. And now he's a 5-star chicken. Which I could not do through this. This only applies to the champions that you're going to use as chickens. It does not apply to the champions you actually want to rank up. See, it had no effect. I can go in, I can mess around with this. Various ways. And all I still get is, is this. There's no way you can put in different champions. When you click on their portrait, nothing, unless I'm missing something. There's something else I have to do here to be able to rank up my chickens. This tells me that, yeah, they've designed this to kind of discourage the point hacks in the tournaments and events. So Plarium, it's a good start, but please rework this to the way players actually play the game. Okay, and again, all right, so what they've done is they've locked you in to whatever your highest champion is to rank up in terms of power, I guess. Because obviously I'm looking here, and all I have is the option to upgrade some level 50 legendary champions. But what I want to do is I want to rank up one of my epic champions, either my Cardinal, my Cryodan, or my Dithing. Or hell, even my Genbo, or my Alia. Because right now, my legendary champions that I have, other than maybe Suzerain Caton, I think I'm going to rank him up during this fusion. But the other champions that I want to rank up most are epics. However, when I go into my instant rank up from 5 to 6, I don't get the option of doing any of my epics. They say, no, this is all you have. And again, it doesn't appear that they have put in any way of selecting which champs you can rank up. This is dumb. Okay, so raid development team, Plarium, you got to fix this one. You got to work on this one. As again, nice start, good concept, but you have to make it in tune with how players play the game. Because as of right now, this is a little bit useless. Okay, so we're back. I've done a bunch of tavern work, a bunch of running of Nightmare Campaign. Well on the way in the Dungeon Divers event. And actually through all my work, I have got my first champion from the champion training. And I've left myself in good stead. Still a lot of brews left. Still a few of my 4-star champion chickens. And I retained a number of 3 and 4-star chickens. I picked up some 2-star chickens from the clan shop, actually utilized those. And I did level up 3 champions from 5-star to 6-star. They were, as I mentioned previously, my Cardinal, my Cryodan, and my Dythy. And actually I ran these a bit in my campaign as well as I got to the end of my food champions in some multi-battles that I did in campaign. But my chicken situation on the 5-star is still very, very good. I have 21 actual chickens, and I'll be able to level up more food champions in the next champion training tournament. So I'll be able to take a lot more champions from 5-star to 6-star, so I think I'm well set up for that. Okay guys, so that's where I stand on my second day of the fusion. I hope things are progressing well for you in this fusion if you're taking part in it. I hope everything is as you expected and planned, no big hiccups. Hope everything else is well with you. And as always guys, thanks for watching.